when you're in school, there is so much emphasis and focus on academic ability that you believe that if you do well in school, success is guaranteed, right? And it is only the people that have done well in school will be successful. And then the people who have not done well in school are destined for failure, right? That is like the box that we've lived in our schooling, right? When in reality, it is the person and the people that are most resilient and adaptable are the ones that are successful. Because I've seen a number of people who have been academically strong go on to lead lives that they feel that are unfulfilled, right? And so how it comes to the question of how do you define success? Success for me is a life that is fulfilled, that you're following and walking in your purpose passionately, and the work that you do has a lot of deep meaning to you and has impact, right? And so I have seen a lot of people then on the flip end who have not been academically strong, have been able to find and align with their purpose and calling, and combine that with a sense of like deep grit and fight because they know that this is what they're here to do, become tremendously successful, and so that piece of resilience and grit is the defining piece that connects you from that connects you to success for sure, 100%.
It's interesting because the more you talk and the more you share your life experience, the more I'm seeing it aligning even with myself.
Yeah.
Because Joshua, so many times as an individual growing up, especially in pursuit of your dreams and aspirations. Or I would even say sometimes, you're going down a path that it's not necessarily one you outline for yourself, but what your family want for you. There are obstacles. There are times where, you're doing the right thing. As you said, you're working hard, but making no money, right? Working hard to make no money, right? And in the midst of it, you believe that God has forsaken you, life has turned its back on you, and it's just like, what are doing wrong?
Yeah.
And it's only as time progresses and you have the benefits of hindsight and you have the benefit of now sitting down in 2021 to look back, you'd realize that what transpired there needed to happen.
Yeah.
Because in reality, it was strengthening you or preparing you for the next phase of your life.
Yeah.
Right? And not many young persons or not many persons in life gets the opportunity to reach to that point. And it's because during the tribulations, they believe that, okay, probably that this is a sign. A sign's okay, I'm not on the right path, probably to pivot and move on. You could have decided to do that.
That's a funny take because it's so funny because yes, that is completely true. I could have pivoted and said, okay, maybe this is not meant to be. But then there were times when within the struggle, I needed to pivot. For example, I made an agreement with one of my coaches. Now, at this point, I'm involved in the fight community and whatnot, to buy all his equipment from him in Canada. And we they made plans on 2019, so the plan was to go back to Canada, ship everything now in a container, and COVID happened, borders closed and whatnot. And we're trying to make arrangements. He's stalled, and I'm trying to get in contact with him, trying to set up phone calls. It was been almost a year that we're trying to schedule a phone call, and the phone call is not happening. But this is somebody I visited twice, stayed with in his house, ate dinner with his family, played with his dogs, swim in his pool, almost like a friend, a father figure, somebody I look up to. And I sat and I said, because now I'm in Trinidad. So left the States, came back to Trinidad, I'd been training people at home, online, in the parks, whatnot. And things are getting back kind of normal. But the online community that I had is kind of dying down. So I'm like, listen, this thing is crashing. I need my equipment. I want to pivot, right? I need to launch a gym. And I'm seeing something is off, I'm missing something. And I just prayed about it. And I just felt led to do some more research on the equipment. And then I realized I could buy everything that I need brand new for less money than I was paying him if I got it straight from China. Initially, I was looking at stores in the US, which at the moment, it would have cost me way more money than the agreement we had. So I thought I had a good deal, which I realized looking back that it really was a terrible deal. And I needed that store to happen. So it's really, I don't even know how to explain it. Sometimes you need to pivot and not go through that toggle. And sometimes you just need to go through it.
The reason why I share my journey, and I'm so open, and I'm glad you said it like that, is because social media has put a lot of pressure on us of what ideal life should be and where you should be in your life. And I recognized that very early on when I started to get involved in social media. As a matter of fact, sometimes in your little direct circle. Because funny enough, I saw a podcast where a guy said that nobody ever asks, how are you? They always ask, what do you do for a living? When they first meet you. They never ask how you're going, if you're mentally, physically, right, or emotionally healthy. They always want to know what is your profession, and then they know how to engage you further, right? On social media, I always say people are not what they post, P-O-S-T, to be, right? And if you look at my lifestyle or you look at anybody on social media, you could become envious, you could become very discouraged, you can even become very demotivated, or you could become inspired. But I like to give a little backstory so that they understand there's some sort of sacrifice along the way. There's some sort of disappointment along the way. But it's how you regroup, it's how you continue, and it's how you decide that you're not going to quit. So I think that is where the tool of social media should be. And if you look at social media critically, you would see within a short time period, you always see all these people. We were like, oh God, they had the best marriage, or they had the best friendship, or they had the best business. And behind these scenes, you're saying the bank repossessed the house. The husband and wife got divorced. You know, there's always some little scandal by the projection of this perfect life. So I think to be open and to be transparent, but you also have to manage your transparency as well, because being too vulnerable on social media also has its downside. So sometimes I want to share little things with people, but some people reception of what I share may be misinterpreted, and I may get a backlash from it. So I taper what I share and how much I share, just to protect also my family and sometimes my mental well-being.
Correct. So it's basically getting the balancing act between authenticity as well as keeping yourself.
Right. And I wanted to share something now that you brought me back to the thought. There was 3 years ago, a reporter contacted me and asked me to do a Mother's Day interview. And when I told him that I don't have a good relationship with my mother, I didn't get the opportunity to do the the episode.
Right.
And I actually wrote about it on Facebook, and I said that it is so unfortunate that we only want to portray and glorify the good mother and daughter relationships, but there are families that suffer from toxic relationships with their siblings, their uncles, their fathers, their mothers. And we must come out of that cycle where it's because the Bible speaks about it, that you're supposed to honor thy mother and thy father, so that your life shall be long and bountiful. But it also caters for that toxic relationship where they said parents do not provoke thy children to anger. So it means that it has to be a balancing act, and we must be open and we must talk about it, because you would be, like you said, surprised how many people have toxic relationships with their parents, their siblings, or their entire family. But it's not something we talk about, and I think that's why we don't find a way to heal through it.
So anybody who knows you, Jonathan, knows that you everything that you do is rooted in faith, your faith. How does your faith lend to your leadership style and your business model style?
Faith in itself is something that you definitely need as an entrepreneur, because if you can't see it, nobody cannot see it for you. So faith is probably like the first foundation you need to set in order to add on that foundation to see success. So I will say it's definitely the only reason I made it so far, because it's easy to get distracted. Like for example, I started where I was the tender age of 18 years old. So during that age categories where you will see your friends getting scholarships going away. There will be transitioning into 9 to 5s. There will be quote unquote successful. So imagine seeing that while you're in a place of zero. So imagine myself in a facility with nobody, and I on my phone scrolling, and I seen everybody that's happy, and I looking around. I tell myself, wait, why I come out of school for this, boy. So I think taking out the distractions and focusing on yourself is what does actually make you become a successful person.
So let's go into that part. So you're in the gym, nobody's there with you. You're on your phone, you're just scrolling, and you're seeing your peers. And obviously, at a time like that, the natural questions will arise, which you have asked. How do you distract that, or decide that you're going to distract that and not, you know what? Probably I'm wrong. Probably let me just follow up and just do what everybody else is doing.
So to answer that question, I think you need to be delusional in entrepreneurship. If you're not delusional at the start, you won't be able to see what you're experiencing in the future. So in order to answer that question, I would recommend for any entrepreneurs out there to go cold turkey on your friends who not align with your vision. So for example, if you're now starting something, you don't want to scroll on your phone and see persons doing something else, because that may start to inveigle thoughts that what you're doing isn't the right thing. So unfollow your friends, unfollow those celebrities who not promoting the idea and that align with your faith, and just focus on virtual mentors, as I mentioned, people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown. Those kind of persons will assist you in believing your ideas. And once you believe your ideas, you will act on your ideas. You will research ideas, and that in itself will help the ideas come into fruition.
What should the future of the creative industry look like in Trinidad and Tobago?
Honestly, I mean, I am a little bit biased, but I know that we focus on sports, tourism, and whatnot. And I always say the entertainment sector is one of our greatest exports. Trinidad and Tobago's entertainment sector is bar none, especially in the Caribbean. So I really see the creative industry taking over in terms of influencing all facets of our lives. We have, say for instance, social media right now it has a huge impact on all spheres. You're a doctor, you want to promote your services, you will need a content creator. More likely than not, a content creator is involved in the creative industry. They are part of the orange economy. They are needed in all spheres. I also see that people have become now huge advocates for paying a living wage for creatives. I was very pleased when I saw Clipsonians and even Panmen and whatnot advocating for no longer being looking for exposure or just working for exposure. I'm seeing people become more and more vocal about that. They want to get a living wage. They want to ensure that they are paid well for their services. So I really am seeing the creative industry just taking over in all spheres of our lives. Yes.
You know,